So, back in the day, after the holidays, we as kids, as Gen X kids, and millennials and zillennials, we were bummed out because we knew that school was going to be back in session soon. And it really hit us hard the day before school, the day before the first day back. And it was the back to school blues. Oh man, I hated that so much because I hated school. And it was not only the hard work they were going to put us through for the rest of the year, because it was the second semester of that school year, and the work, of course, was going to get harder, more tedious. There were going to be more group projects, book reports, and all of this. And so that was stuff that those were things we weren't looking forward to. But we also knew that we had to go back to the people that we hated, the bullies, the teachers that we hated, and just tedious, wasting time doing things that we didn't like. So we would be playing with our new toys or listening to our new stereos or our new music, wearing some new clothes, and just dreading having to go back. But at least a lot of us had new clothes and new shoes to wear, and most of us knew that we were going to walk our runway when we went back to school. What was the runway, you ask? Hey, I'm glad you did ask. It was when we got up from our desk and we strutted across the front of the classroom all the way to the pencil sharpener to sharpen an already sharpened pencil, and we did our little subtle poses showing off our new shoes and our new fits, and we stood there for a few seconds longer than we needed to, and then we would stand over the garbage can, blow off the dust from our pencils, and we strutted back to our desks. And then somebody would do their turn on the runway, and we did that every year. And most of us knew what was happening. Like, we knew that we were all showing off our outfits, but we also knew that nobody cared about those outfits but us. Our teachers didn't care, and the other students surely didn't care. The only ones who might have been slightly impressed were your friends, if you had any. But other than that, nobody cared. So we would go to bed at night, and a lot of us were not able to sleep because we were just dreading having to get up early the next morning after sleeping in for 2 weeks and going in to this god-awful place in the dead of winter that we hated. And so it was a lot harder to get us up during the second semester. I know that was how it was for me. But my mom would get me up before she went into work that morning, and I would drag myself out of bed and get ready. And I would do my hair, my makeup, put on some new clothes, and my coat and my gloves if I was lucky enough to have that, and get ready to go. Now, a lot of times, well, not a lot of times, but sometimes it would be so cold outside and the wind chill factor would be below 0. And my mom, she would still have to go to work, but she would open my door and go, "Roz, it's too cold today. You ain't going. It's too cold out there today. So you just stay in bed, relax, rest, but you ain't going in today." And I'd be like, "Okay." And so I lay back down, but and particularly in the 12th grade, my mom told me that I could take mental health days. She didn't put it that way. She would just tell me if I felt like I couldn't do it that day, then just stay home, but just don't abuse that. just do it on the days that I felt I needed the most. And there were a couple of times when I did do that, when I would just stay home because I knew my mom would be cool with it. But for the most part, I did my due diligence and went to school. But back to the story. So we would get up and we would go in, get to the school bus or in our parents' car if they were the ones taking us, and we would go in. And we would stand there looking at that tall, tedious, horrendous building that we hated so much. And we would just kind of inwardly say, God, I hate you. And then we'd trudge into the building. Some of us ate breakfast, and we would go to the lunchroom and get our breakfast, sit with our friends and catch up and talk about the holidays and what we did and where we went and what we got. And then walk to class together. Sometimes we took classes with our friends, sometimes we didn't. But we would just go to class and it was business as usual. And we hated that. We hated that so much. We hated battling with our bullies. We hated the teachers. We hated having to do stuff for grades. But that was the name of the game back then. And then back home, we sat at our desks if we had those, or at the kitchen table, and we put our stuff away because we were going to do our homework. But first we had to make our Gen X dinner. What was the Gen X dinner? I'm glad you asked that too. Sometimes it would be some cereal, your favorite kind, of course. Sometimes it would be a sandwich. A lot of us got very creative with our sandwiches. Now my bestie and I at the time, not the one I have now, we would just do the general potato chips with a bologna sandwich. And she taught me the ways of bologna with ketchup. So if I was at her house, it was bologna and ketchup. If I was at home, it was maybe fried bologna with mustard and mayonnaise. And if we had any chips. And that would hold us over until our moms got home that evening and she cooked dinner. But a lot of times, sometimes, that was our dinner. Especially if our moms came home that night and was too tired to cook. So, we would sit at the kitchen table or at our desks or wherever, and we would eat that and do our homework. And just inwardly wish that it was still the holidays so we could have a little extra time off of school. And that was what Gen X back to school was like after the holidays. And I know it wasn't just the Gen X. I know it wasn't just the Zennials. I know it wasn't just the Millennials. I know that it's that way for Gen Z and what are they called? The Zalphas? Anyway, I don't know. I know it's that way for them too, but I'm talking purely from the perspective I know, and that perspective is my generation and the generations just a little bit below mine. But anyway, tell me what it was like for you to have to deal with going back to school after the holidays. I'm interested, I'm nosy, I'm curious. So just engage with me in the comments and tell me what it was like for you, what you remember about it. Did you actually like going back to school? Because there was that precious few that actually liked going back to school. And those were also the same people that told the teacher that they forgot to assign us homework. And those were usually the students that we hated. But anyway, as usual, there are donations links in the description. You will find my PayPal, my CASHAPP, and a GoFundMe link. If you would consider looking at those and helping me out, you would be helping me out more than you could ever possibly realize. The money would go on food, bills, whatever we could use to keep this thing going, to keep ourselves going. And I thank you in advance for that help. A wise man once said, You have to build your tribe one person at a time. If you would like to be a part of my tribe, hit that subscribe button and become a part of my tribe. No matter what generation you are from, I would be so glad to have you. Thank you so much for wasting time with me. I hope to see y'all on the next upload. Bye for now.